Hey, this is Michael Matry. I'm an inspirational speaker, poet.
Yo, what's up? My name is Jason Ferguson, also known as Jason Ferg. I am an emergency manager at a major university, but I'm also a music artist.
My name is Vladimir. I'm a barber in California, Rancho Cucamonga at 2% Barbershop.
Hey, I'm Joe Free, or Joshua Freeman. I work in property management and real estate, and I'm passionate about family, God, and finance.
Yo, peace. Welcome to the Alert and Calm podcast. We are brothers hanging out, having good, authentic conversations. We want to invite men and people all over the world to have authentic conversations so that we can continue to explore not only how we navigate in this life, but how we continue to grow and thrive and be whole as humans. I am joined by two of my esteemed brothers, and it's always good to chop it up with them. My name is Jason.
Joe Free. And Vladimir.
Yeah, so we've been knowing each other for some time, and this is just what we do, and we are inviting you all into the space where we just converse and chop it up as brothers. So, haven't seen y'all in a minute. Vlad, what's been up?
Man, I've been working. I've been putting in time, just growing in the industry, just looking for ways to keep growing, opportunity, I love where I'm at. I love the barbershop that I'm at, 2% in Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah.
That barbershop, the owner is amazing. The barbers there are cool. I'm learning a lot. I'm faced with challenges every day. I'm not, there's always someone new coming in with different types of hairstyles and
keeping you sharp.
Keeping me sharp, right? Staying on my toes. So I really, really love what I do.
That's what's
I know
up.
we touched up on this, and it's who I am. You know what I mean? So, being a barber, I can't say any more about it. I really love what I do. So,
How has social media impacted barbering as an industry?
So the thing is, if I were a barber many years ago, I would have a better answer. But what I've noticed from barbers that have been in the industry before social media, the social media boom, when you speak to them, their thing was, to be honest with you, they just really became the neighborhood superstar.
Right.
So now it's just like, I feel like a lot of the old school barbers, they, instead of being just like a neighborhood inner city, that guy, you know what I mean? You gotta go to Kevin. Kevin's that guy. You know what I mean?
And it's word of mouth.
It's word of mouth, right? They're out there, and it's just like whenever you see, back in the day, I know when I seen my barber out, if I see him at a cookout or somewhere, I'm like, man, that's my barber. That's G right there. You know,
that's dope.
So what I noticed, what's evolved now, it's like those guys, if they teach themselves how to use social media and monetize it and grow within social media, because there's a lot of old school barbers that still don't get on that tip. Right. So I notice what's going on is that those barbers that learn, they're like, man, I can just outgrow this neighborhood. I can outgrow my environment and just go out there and touch the world. And cut hair in different cities and different states and make it let it be known that I am a good barber. I provide a good service. I provide personality, talk, conversation, everything. I'm not just cutting hair. I provide more than that, and I could be flown out to do that.
Dope.
And teach and mentor other barbers coming up. So that's what I think a lot of the old school barbers are doing with it. They're using it to reach out to the barbers that are coming up under them.
Yeah, so it's interesting too, because what you described as the old school of like the barber being a celebrity in the neighborhood, now because of social media, a barber could be a celebrity regardless of neighborhood, just like worldwide. You could be following a barber that's down in Dallas, Texas.
Right.
Chances are I will never get down there to get a haircut regularly from that barber, but I know he's dope and I can see the vibe. But if I ever fly into Dallas, I know that this barber is the one I want to go and check out.
Right.
That's pretty cool. I wonder if a barbering tour, how people travel around and test out different restaurants?
Yeah.
Like, what if it was a show where people can we're gonna go to Dallas and check out this barber that we know is crushing it down. That type of thing. That's dope.
I seen something like that where I don't know the guy's name, but he goes to different countries and just to see their barber style.
Okay.
Really?
How they cut. Yeah, he goes to interesting locations, Thailand, little corner.
It's a black guy?
Haircut there. I don't think it's a black guy. I forget. There's I don't know his nationality, but
Yeah.
he's definitely out there doing that. He's
what's up.
traveling, he's getting out there, touching, different cities and countries, and it's crazy. It's nice.
When you talk about cutting, I just box it in the frame of whatever I would see when I was growing up, right? And it's funny because one of my barbers, his name was Kev. So it was a barbershop in Compton, not far from where I live now. And it was a brother Sam. He had a brother named Mike. He had a cousin named Dave, and there was another cat named Kev. And I think he's listed as Kev the barber now. When it comes to like y'all social media and like worldwide and stuff, I seen a picture or a video of somebody cutting some hair with a rock.
Oh yeah.
And coloring hair and stuff like that, or the cat that
Let's
cuts
go.
hair with a lighter.
Go all the way back though. Before we had electrical outlets, and we had ways to cut hair and groom ourselves with the elements.
Right.
I'm gonna switch it up and ask Joe a question. Favorite MC?
Favorite MC, man, is me. I'm
Okay.
not gonna lie. So
Let's go.
So, but I just say that because all right. So I guess I would have to go to Common after that, right? Which you'll get because that's one of your boys from your city. That's cool. And Common, and that's more for like relatable, right? Because growing up in the church and growing up as a kid and being kind of wholesome, that kind of fell in with it, and off of that I would go to like Gangstar and Guru, and that'd be cool. Even though Guru's, some stuff that he says is kind of like okay,
right.
That's still my guy. But as far as influence and style, that got to be Busta Rhymes.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because for me,
Busta can cover every possible base of MC.
He doesn't get mentioned enough.
He does not get mentioned enough.
Whenever people are top 5, Mount Rushmores, all that stuff. He's always like never really
Busta is he's one of the most versatile MCs, hands down. Like in every rhyme style class, I think Busta can come in and dominate. Like the smooth flow, the gritty flow, the rah-rah, like whatever it is, like he has demonstrated so much muscle across MCing styles. And then think about the longevity from Leaders of the New School
to now,
all the way till now. He still is able to body. You give him a beat that he connects with,
it'd be over.
It's a wrap.
So I remember, and then Black Thought. Right? So Black Thought with the Roots. So those are, I don't even know if I can mention this, and it's not somebody that I go after with, but it'll make sense in this story. So we grew up in church and we weren't able to listen to secular music. So anything that I heard that was hip hop or anything like that, it would have to be almost smuggled inside the house.
Right.
So one of my first, but which was crazy though, because that means that at one period in time, I had wrote more songs than I had listened to.
Oh, because you had to be your own outlet.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why my answer could even be that. It wasn't even on like no cocky type stuff. Because I know we was listening to Nas earlier, and Nas is a really big influence for me as well.
Yeah.
But I'm at the point to where I like don't even listen to other people's music as much as I maybe should. You know what I mean? But my first albums, I remember it was Illadelph Half-Life and When Disaster Strikes. I remember that. I remember getting Snoop Dogg Doggy Style, and I was like,
it's out there.
It didn't really resonate with me though, because like I was just like, yo, this is so far removed from what I'm being raised value wise. But nothing negative. Well, not saying anything bad about Snoop, but it just didn't resonate with me. But those were the MCs that were really influential for me.
I appreciate how you just framed that. I heard Dave Chappelle explain something once about art in general, and when he was speaking about art, he was saying that you can recognize someone else's creation, and even if it doesn't resonate with you, you can say, like, I wouldn't buy this painting and take it home and hang it on my wall, but it does have a right to exist.
Oh yeah.
And so sometimes, sometimes it's like being able to not necessarily classify art as good or bad, but to say, this particular piece doesn't resonate with me. It's not the one that I would say, of all of the records at the record shop, I'm grabbing this one, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And I think the same is true when people talk about top 5 MCs or top this or top that, is assuming that there's truly some kind of metric for how to rate an artist, someone who's creating art. But the truth is, I try to ask, who are your favorite MCs as opposed to your top 5, if you will.
Right.
Your favorite, because who's to say who rhymes better than the next person? It really comes down to like what style resonates with you,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, or what does this person represent in their art and their approach that connects with you and inspires you or whatever.
Right.
So I appreciate you sharing that.
What about yours though?
My favorites?
Yeah.
You named, I think, all 3 of them.
Oh, word.
So my top 3 favorite would be Nas,
Okay.
Black Thought, and Common.
Wow.
And again, the list is way too long to
Of course.
rattle off others that I would consider favorites, but those 3 have inspired me in different ways throughout my life. And then I think in my years now, I can look back and just almost salute them for helping me have perspective that I needed at different parts of my life. And so sometimes going back to those records are a way to just be like, man, when I heard this, that inspired me to get on my money differently. You know, when I heard this, that made me want to be a better father. You know, when I heard this, it changed my swag, or it kind of gave me some different perspective and how I presented socially, things like that. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
You know what changed my perspective on getting money?
What's that?
That movie from Steve Harvey, Think Like a Man,
Okay.
which is crazy.
Say
'Cause, like,
okay. So I want you to say more about that, but that's a good segue into our topic today.
Say word.
Yeah,
Because
think like a man. And
Yeah.
I wanna ask the question in a second
Mm-hmm.
of what it means to be a man in this day and age. Like, let's open up ourselves in this conversation to break the chains of the ideals of manhood that we've inherited. And I want to ask you guys a little bit about if we can think back to where we learned about manhood and who defined manhood for us, what did that definition entail, and how do we feel about pursuing the definition of manhood over the years. But before we dive into that conversation about breaking the chains, unpacking this definition of manhood, tell me more about the Steve Harvey movie.
Say word. So I was in my late 20s, I think, when I saw that, and I was thinking to myself like, hey, it's time for me to settle down, get married. I don't really know what I'm doing. I was still in property management and still in like kind of entry level position type of thing. And there was a character, it was a white dude that had a black chick, and I think it was Gabrielle Union. And he was kind of like a nerdy guy, and he was into Star Wars and comic books and all this kind of stuff. And I resonated with that. I got a Camcom shirt under this like right now. So I was like, dang, like I don't want to be that, you know what I mean? So funny enough, I used to work inside of a building that's right across the street from La Brea Tar Pits.
Okay.
And I was a leasing agent. And when people would ask me if I wanted to be an assistant manager or a manager or something like that, I would always kind of like shy away from it. But I would also have people in my building that liked me so much they would write letters to the corporate office about how much that they had favor for me. So my VP would come to the building like, yo, if you ever need anything, let me know, man. People are always like just saying really good things about you. And somebody had just got hired into the assistant manager position over me, and I was just a leasing agent. And it's a kind of a tricky thing because a lot of people do that even now, where they're like waiting for someone to approach them for an open position instead of just logging online and just applying for it, because that's the proper thing to do. Like legally, HR would have to acknowledge your resume or application once you do that. But if you don't do that, then they can just pretty much ignore you or not even have a mind for you. So he came in and he was like, hey, you ever need anything, just let me know. I was like, hey, if I was interested in moving up in a position, who would I speak to? And I said that to the VP because he started a conversation. He was like, me. I was like, oh, well, I'm interested in moving up in my position, right? And I think a week later, I was promoted to my first property in Huntington Beach. I was still living with my peoples at that point with my mom and pops. They gave me my property out there. I was the manager, and after a month, I got my own apartment.
Yeah.
It just came
This was
with the whole
after
spot.
seeing that film.
It came with that, feeling that pressure, seeing that film for sure. And I think that was around the time that you and I first met.
Really?
Yeah, it was
same
around.
time
Yeah,
frame.
yeah, for sure. It was around that same time frame.
So man,
17 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it's dope though, because it was a piece of art that inspired you. It was a film. Mm-hmm. You see this. I mean, not to say that that was the sole inspiration, but perhaps seeing this film, it opens your eyes to like, I see myself in a certain way in a character in this film, and I see how this character is being portrayed, and perhaps I'm looking at myself saying, what do I want to do about this?
Right. And I was like, yo, I don't want to be that cat.
And I mean, that's the dope thing about us experiencing life and learning from what we see, because we can always look at something and say, you know, based upon my response to what I'm saying, where do I want to be?
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's why I think it is good, just going back to our conversation about music, it's good to sometimes sit down and listen to perspective that does not align with yours. Because
That's heavy.
And it's heavy because it's like, if your ears and your processor is only in tune with the language that you speak, you always cut it out.
Oh,
if it's
man.
like, if you don't sound like my thinking, I'm cutting it off.
Right.
It sometimes does us a disservice because we don't get a chance to even look around, even see, you know, it's like you could see a thing in 2 dimensions.
Right.
But what about when you turn it
right.
on an angle, and now you're getting that 3D view, even of yourself.
Right.
Like, how does this resonate with me? Sometimes going to the museum and looking at the different exhibits and the art on the walls, you're standing in front of a piece that's like mad disturbing. And you're like, man, it's disturbing to see this. Or Quentin Tarantino film.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, this is, man, it's hard to watch.
Yeah. Right.
Some aspects are just really gruesome.
Reservoir Dogs.
But I need to watch this.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm being reminded of my own humanity, that I actually disagree, or this makes me uncomfortable, or whatever. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think when you're talking about the art thing, art to me, I think is expressing, you know,
Right.
whatever it is, you know, like art on the wall. If you're good at creating pieces with metal or wood, you know what I mean? If you're a carpenter or you're an architect, whatever, like this world is made of art, you know what I mean? Buildings, you know, like, so, I mean, as far as like the man aspect and being a man, and pretty much the question is like, when I realized I really needed to be a man, it's like, I can't really pinpoint it. You know, I think for me, it just felt like it was a time where I had to go within and just be like, man, what am I doing? You know what I mean? It's a question that recently I started asking myself that question more often. What am I doing, right? And it's helped me align and assess my current status and situation, and pick the right path for me to take that's comfortable for me. If that makes sense. It's like, okay, if I go this way, I know this is the wrong decision. So for me, I feel like when I felt like I was becoming, you know, when I felt like I was becoming a man, and being the right man in this, you know, society of 2025, it was just like, keep making the right decision.
Yeah.
When Vlad talks, like my mind be like all over the place, because when you said that, you said make whatever choice is comfortable for me and don't do the wrong thing. And the funny thing about that is that sometimes, a lot of times, when people are making the wrong decision, that is where their comfort lies. And they're following where their comfort is, and they're staying in their comfort zone. So that says a lot about you, for you to be doing the right thing, and that's what's making you comfortable. So it's almost like it's almost like a negative double entendre a little bit, because you're saying, okay, I got to do what I'm comfortable with. So I know that you're not saying that you're staying in your comfort zone, because that's not really how it works.
No.
But comfort aligns with moving forward, doing what's right,
or his morality, or what he knows to be right.
So let's use that to go back, right? So in order to talk about how we define manhood in 2025, I like to put up for discussion our early memories of manhood even being defined for us. If you can reach back, when did you understand the definition of manhood? Who gave you that definition? How did you see it? Just go back as far as you can. What did a man look like? What did it mean to be a man?
Growing up as a kid, man, I had my examples of my dad and my uncles, and nothing against them, right? It was just all I really seen was go to work and pay the bills, right? And there was punishment if you didn't do your homework, right? Or there's punishment if you went too far down the block. Like you can ride your bike right here, but you can't go too far. So it's just kind of like, as a kid, I'm like, man, I gotta listen to this guy, right? This is the man in my life. This is my dad, or this is my uncle, or they're the ones setting my boundaries and the rules in my life, and I gotta abide by them, right? So the examples I had were my dad and my uncles.
What about you, Joe?
Man, y'all know me, man. I was raised in the church. So it was really when I'm looking back, it was really structured. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm talking about, I was coming up in one church and transitioned to a mega church. My father was going to be the music minister, and there was times when we would, if they felt like the church wasn't right, we wake up early on Sunday in our pajamas and have praise and worship in the living room. My pop's playing the piano, my mom's singing hymns, and we rereading scriptures. You know what I'm saying? So it's for me, if I'm even going back there right now, I'm at a point to where I'm very reflective, and I can really define things and express myself with a certain amount of accuracy. But when I was younger, I was just going up through it, and it's kind of okay, mom's is there, pops is there. I was finding out that my big brother and my big sister were from my mom's first marriage, but I really didn't know that. And I had to come into that, you know what I'm saying? But it was just that union, and they made it very clear that the way that man and women, and they submit to God, and that's the family, and that's the building block of society and all that kind of stuff. It was very clear. So it was I knew the man as the protector, as the provider, and as the authority of the home, and everything else from life just built on that and built on that. So when I see anything that's contrary, I'm just okay. You know what I mean?
So I'll jump in and say, for me, and my dad was one of my primary examples as well. But one particular attribute that my dad exhibited that I'd like to share was his care and concern for the world around him. And the way that I saw that reflected was, even in us just kind of moving around our community, if there were a couple of kids on the side of the road fighting or doing something, they having some kind of riffraff, my dad would literally pull over the car and hop out and be like, yo, why y'all fighting each other? Y'all look just alike. Y'all should be together. Y'all look like brothers.
Right.
And I would be embarrassed. I would be like, Pop, leave them kids alone. We don't know them. Chill, And I used to be thinking they might see me by myself at some point and be like, that's the kid who was with the guy that stopped us from fighting that day.
Did that ever happen?
No, that never happened.
All right, no doubt.
But I used to be so embarrassed, but I was why does he care so much about things that are not our business?
But Pops is solid, though.
Pops is solid.
Yeah.
He's solid. And we would go into places, he would speak to people. It's he understood that his presence was to be
it's a coffee bean guy.
Like an attribute to it was to be an asset to the community.
Yeah.
Say word.
You know, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Da da da. You know, just that type of thing. And I also shared one time there was somebody who had their hood popped up. They were in distress. Their car had broken down or something. He stopped, helped out the person, and then after the person was like, "Oh man, thank you so much," they got the car to start or something like that. They were getting ready to part ways. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. Pop's coming back to the car, and the person is trying to give him money. And I heard my dad say distinctly, no. You would have done the same thing for me.
Yeah.
And the guy was looking at him just like, oh. And I look back on that and I'm like, he's modeling this type of love that people would, it's almost as if he's trying to pay it forward and be a model in that way. And my dad is by no means a perfect person.
Yeah.
He close though.
But
like it. Yeah,
I share those attributes though, because a lot of times people only highlight the things about manhood that are extremely macho or these other things. But that's something that I, as early as I can remember, saw as being connected to what it means to be a man. You have to be thinking about taking care of things broader than just yourself.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. Can I add a piece to that as well? TV dads.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Because back in the day,
Uncle Phil. Say word.
It's funny that you mentioned Uncle Phil. Like, and it's funny that like J. Cole, rest in peace, Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
The only dad that I ever knew. Like, when I watch Uncle Phil on Fresh Prince, like when you look at him and you're like, man, like if you're gonna be a provider and a protector and a mentor and a leader from the household, he was like the definition of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, we watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know, Carlton, it's just like, man, I know every episode from beginning to end. But when you saw, I don't know if you got a chance to watch the reunion.
I don't
They
think
did
so.
a reunion.
I think I got some
not too long
glimpses of
ago.
it. Yeah.
It's really good. It's actually pretty powerful. And there was they set aside like some time for Uncle Phil. Man, what a tearjerker.
Yeah.
You know, like, because you don't, like, we talk about connection, right? Like the connection you have to someone, to like Uncle Phil being on TV. And he's on TV. I never met the guy, but I just feel like that's Uncle Phil, right? Like that's that guy. Like he's the dad. Like I feel like if I met him on the street, I'd be like, Uncle Phil.
Yeah, like
you know,
big hug.
Yeah, what's up, B?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
So no, that's dope. I want to move us forward just a little bit and bringing us to where we are today. You think about all of the ways in which manhood has been defined for us as young guys through our adolescent years into our early adult years. Here we are, 2025. What do you do when you feel like there are aspects of your pursuit of manhood that's not meeting the mark?
your pursuit of manhood.
Your pursuit of manhood. Are you pursuing manhood?
That's a good question.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
You know, because I believe my manhood, you know. Right.
It's like, wait. You know what I mean? Because yeah.
And I mean that by
I'm pursuing to be a better man.
Okay.
You know, I'm pursuing to be a better version of myself.
Right.
And, you know, in today's day and age, like, there's so many different definitions of what a man is and who a man is, and the perception of what a man should be. But I feel like you just have to really be your authentic self and just keep building on that authentic self and bring that and share that with the world, right? But man, like pursuing manhood.
And I mean that by like the definition. If there was a definition of it, and as you mentioned earlier in our conversation, there may be times where you talked about always choosing the right path.
Right.
So that is a pursuit.
So I could tie that in with pursuing. If you're pursuing a manhood, I would say if I were to mentor someone that's like, man, I'm in the pursuit of my manhood, but okay, well, one, life will be filled with choices and decisions. You have to find a way to make the right ones, right? As much as you're going to want to comfortably do the wrong things in life. I'm not gonna, don't feel guilty. Don't get down on yourself. We all make wrong decisions. But when you find that you're making right decisions, you're overcoming distractions, and you're making decisions, you're going to start feeling like there's a feeling of positivity that's going to hit you, and then you're going into the right direction, and you're going to start feeling like you're growing mentally.
Yeah.
Right.
So I got a question for you, Joe.
Go ahead.
What role does your spirituality or your knowledge of your connection to the divine play in being a man in 2025?
What role does it play? So I know God is our Father and He provides for us and protects us, right? So in that aspect, I strive to embody that in my family, right? And when you asked the question, and I kind of flipped it over to Vlad, like, yo, are you pursuing your manhood? It was, I don't even know if I can't necessarily say that I'm not pursuing my manhood, but it may be so intravenously just put into my psyche to where it's just like, that's just me. And I'm not purposely pursuing it per se. But when it comes to me and my relationship with my wife and my children, it's almost like letting the best gift be in operation, right? So for example, my wife may not like to cook, and I might be saying it so I don't get in trouble. I might be a better cook than her, right? So I will end up, or I'm most likely to just be up before everybody's up. So like, okay, breakfast is just ready because I'm going to make breakfast for myself,
right,
or whatever it is. And that's just it. So it's almost like the same thing for a man. If I'm able to earn more, if I happen to be bigger, if I happen to be in a position to protect, that just happens to be me. So it's just, I'm just going to run it. You know what I mean? And that's just what's going to happen. So when it comes to spirituality, and you reading through Proverbs or Psalms or whatever other scriptures that it is, that the position that a man plays is pretty well defined, and what's expected for you, especially in those times where you don't have the benefits of capitalism and the finance situation, which I feel like are still in place, even though people try to play like it's not. But that my relationship with God and the example that He's shown for me in my life and in the past and in the future is what will, kind of correct me whether or not I guess I'm not really feeling it like it's hardly corrected, because I'm not intentionally or haphazardly leaning to the feminine side. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. So that it kind of serves as your North Star, so to speak.
A little bit.
Yeah. So I want to ask one last question on this topic. I think this has been a really rich conversation. There are brothers in our society today who I have heard express challenge with being able to wholeheartedly be vulnerable. And so men are also human, and we struggle. We have emotional responses to things that go well. We have emotional responses to disappointment. We have moments where we have felt let down. We have moments where we have felt stepped over, overlooked, all these different things. But one of the things that I can recall that was also ingrained in me very early on in terms of attributes that I have seen men embody in my community was toughness.
Right.
And there was this idea that you're going to feel what you feel, but we're not crying about it.
Right.
You're going to feel what you feel. Yeah, you fell down. You scraped your knee really bad, but you didn't break your leg.
Right.
So get up and keep playing. Right. And so over the years, if that same expectation never changes, here you find yourself in 2025 and you're finally saying, you know what? I actually lost my job today, and that equates to that time when I was a young guy and I failed and I scraped my leg. And I'm gonna say, ouch, this time. It actually hurts. You know, like I feel like I was let go, and I can't afford to be let go from my job right now. So I'm struggling with that in this moment, and it hurts. So my question to you all is, what do you say to our brothers who are in silence trying to navigate moments where their commitment to being a man in this society today may be, roadblocked by not having healthy places to be able to express truly how they feel when things aren't going so well? How do you encourage them?
For me, I for me, like I expressed yesterday, like definitely in the path of seeking therapy. You know, for sure, I would encourage seeking therapy. Having some brothers that you can really open up to and talk to, you know, without feeling or being judged, right? I think what happens with the fact that a lot of brothers and a lot of men in general just are not vulnerable because, you know, we come from we come from a generation where it's like, in our generation, it's just like you cry or you soft, you know? So you always have to be like this tough guy exterior, but inside you may be hurting, you know, like, man, all right, I'm not crying about it. And, you know, if someone asks you, you good, man? Yeah, I'm good. You just continue just building this tough exterior, but inside, you're like being eaten up inside, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it makes it hard to be vulnerable and within society or within someone close to you. You don't know how they're going to think about you. If they're going to, like, you know, if you say, hey man, I've been feeling this way, you know, are they going to take what you share with them and go share with somebody else?
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to put my business out there. There's so many things that make men say, you know what, man, let me put on this hard exterior, and I'm not gonna go ahead and like share what's eating me inside. I'm just gonna let it eat.
That's crazy.
And so what happens is with that, like, we have so many people like with mental issues and breaking down. Eventually it's gonna come out. No matter how hard your exterior is, it's going to eventually eat its way out, and everyone's gonna see it. So, because it's like how they say that saying, the truth shall
make
out.
you free.
Yeah, the truth will make you free, but then the truth will come out at some point. Eventually, that truth that's been eating you inside, that your real feelings, your real emotions, that you not being vulnerable, finding an outlet to like let that out, eventually it's just gonna eat you inside. So it's just gonna come out, and everyone's gonna see it. You know. So and you know, it comes out in different ways. Sometimes people are just like, it's out there, they're abusing drugs, they're drinking alcohol, their whole behavior has changed. You know, they may lose their job because they have outbursts, they're not respectful. You know, there's so many different ways that it can come out and affect, not only just affect you now, it starts to affect your space, it starts to affect your work, it starts to affect the people you love, starts to affect, it now becomes a virus that's growing. It's spreading. So for me, I think it's very important that you know, seek therapy for sure. Find, you know, speak to someone, give them a little bit. You know, because I know for us, right? If I say, hey man, I'm feeling, we use the word, I'm feeling heavy. I'm pretty sure that's key right there. Like, man, you got something going on. Right. Like, you know, we gotta talk to him, or we gotta have a conversation. You know what I mean? He needs an outlet. There are some people you can go and say that to them. What do you mean? You gotta go to the bathroom? Like, you know what I mean? They don't know. They don't.
Heavy meaning.
Heavy meaning what? Like,
right.
So there are some people. That's where you'll know, like, they're not really recognizing what you're saying, and that's where you could be like, okay, they may not understand me. So I'm gonna go and try to find it.
So I'm hearing a couple of things. So your personal health and well-being is important, but then also having comrades who are healthy, who also are, I should say, who are committed to a pathway of health. Because at any given point, we may have things that can be healthier, but that commitment, I think, is important. Not just physical health, but mental health and emotional health and all of those things. And realizing that when we don't tend to our health, it has a ripple effect on other aspects of our lives. It may impact our workplace and our relationships and all of those different things. So close us out. And if you, Joe, can look at the camera and just give some words of encouragement to somebody on the other end of the camera who is trying their best to be their best version of themselves as a man in this day and age, but they may find themselves falling short. Speak to them, encourage them right now, if you don't mind.
So I'm not going to just stare into the camera because that's a little bit too intense, I feel like, but
Add something to the end.
say words. So I got some mentors that I've never met and that might not even be alive. So that's Jim Rohn and Les Brown.
Yeah.
Right. And you also have positive affirmations that are inside of there. So I'm kind of like from that school where it's like, oh, you feeling sad, you need to, get moving or whatever that is. But I think it is really coming from my foundations and from the habits that one would build in order to keep you afloat. And what I mean is, if I'm feeling stressed, culture will tell you to go and take a drink. Go get a drink, go smoke something, right? I've tried that. It doesn't really work effectively, or it's not sustainable. You know what I mean? Or it'll slip you off into something that'll put you in a pit, or it's linked to a product that is meant to take your money and give it to somebody else for temporary relief. Right. But what I picked up is a habit of meditation, reading a chapter of Proverbs every day. So match the date, like today's, let's say it's the 24th, 26th. Read Proverbs 26. The Proverbs does go past 30, but you just go as you would. And you want to, like Les Brown said, listen to something positive every day. So if you listen to something positive every day and you just keep that in your mind, listen to something positive every day, whatever your algorithm is saying, whatever kind of shows that you're watching or whatever it is, you got to put that in your head to figure out that, hey, I haven't listened to anything positive today. I haven't listened to my Proverbs.
It's like a diet.
I haven't done my meditation. Meditation is available for free on YouTube. It can be 5, 10, 25 minutes, an hour meditations if you want. You know what I mean? You feel so much better from that. And it's also diet. So you can have spirulina, will take away the heavy metals inside of your body. You can have sea moss that'll help you detox. You can have a garlic shot. You can have a ginger shot. You can do all these kind of things. And optimism or faith is something where you want to go ahead and be grateful for where you are. We're sitting on the couch. Y'all got on fly sneakers and shoes and everything. Y'all look great, right? But we can always envision what is going to happen in the future. That can be negative if you want it to be, but it really needs to be positive. So where you going next? You know what I'm saying? And then you also have, and I've had the benefit of having groups like this where I have strong brothers around me, you know what I mean? And I have a couple other men's groups as well, to where it's like, all right, for sure, if I'm believing for something, or if I have faith for something, and I know that God got me, or I know that the universe got me, or whatever it is, and you're trusting the process, you listen to all these success stories. These cats are sleeping in cars, losing their houses. But now they got millions of dollars. So what kind of lull are you dealing with right now? You lost your job and you're about to get your last paycheck. They probably gonna cash you out for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever that is. Take that money, do your thing, and move fast. And just envision where you're gonna be. It's gonna work out because you're here now, and you didn't die 5 years ago, whatever it is. You don't want to die 1,000 times. For sure. So that's what I would do. I would just work on building those habits that will keep you afloat. And this also applies to relationships and in your marriage, fellas, in order to keep you afloat in those tough times, because if it's just all good, it starts to feel kind of mundane anyway. So we just gonna do like we like when we look at those paintings, the contrast and the colors and the hues and all that stuff is what makes it art. So look at your life that way, and that's what it is. What you got, Vlad?
My thing that I would encourage is, one of the things that I've always found difficult to do is to say the word "I love you." Say the word "I love you" to your brother. Say the word "I love you" to your dad, or someone that you know you love, and you just cannot get it out just because there's that like hard exterior or whatever the case may be. Try it. I dare you, and watch what happens and the feeling that starts happening. There's something that you release in those words.
Yeah.
Say word.
And you say it every day. You say it to your wife. You say it to your kids. I say it to my dog.
Yeah.
And I notice he'll be like, you know, little things.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like,
I love you
like
too.
honestly, yeah. It's like, try it.
Yeah.
Just honestly try it. I said it to my homeboy, you know, because I really love him. And then now he says it back to me without me. I'll be forgetting. I love you too, bro. You know, and honestly, like it really brings your relationship, your brotherhood to another level. It really does.
People sleep on love like it's weak. It's the most powerful
it's
force.
The most powerful.
I would also add to your list, say it to yourself.
Yeah.
Say word.
Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. And when you're able to do that, you will stand for yourself through the toughest of times. You will be patient with yourself if you feel like you're not meeting the mark in that moment. If life is failing you in that moment, look at yourself and say, I love you. And I'm going to look after you. I won't let you fall. I'm going to stick with you. We're going to get through this. Listen, this has been rich conversation as always. I cannot wait until we get to do another episode. Peace to our brother Mike, who is not with us today, but he's doing some incredible things. But yeah, this is the Alert and Calm podcast. You all spread the word. We are just having raw conversation. We want to bring you all into these conversations. We hope that these conversations are a blessing and not just the ending point, but a kickoff point for a dialogue that you may be having at home or with others. And so share these videos if they'll be a blessing to anybody that you know. And stay tuned for the next episode. Peace and blessings to you all.